Hi guys, it's Chris and Rich and welcome to Retro Weekends, where we try to complete the most notable games from gaming history.
Today we're going to attempt to complete the Sacred Armour of Antiriad. This is an action-adventure game, quite an early one. It actually came out around the same month that Metroid actually appeared. And this is another sort of Metroidvania, sort of like an early Metroidvania style game. So have you played the game at all?
No, I've never seen it before.
Well, should we get to it then?
Yeah, let's go.
So this game actually originally came out with its own little comic book included with the game. It's like a 16-page, properly drawn comic book explaining like the setting and the characters and the world and such. You know?
That's awesome.
It's quite a cool presentation for the time. So basically, the backstory in this game is that there's sort of like a Cold War going on between two massive superpowers. And just towards the end of it, one of the superpowers creates like a battle armour, this sort of anti-radiation battle armour. But just as they've finished the prototype, there's a nuclear holocaust and everybody's killed. 100 years sort of pass and there's like tribal peoples coming out of the from underground essentially. So this alien invasion starts up, and obviously the people, they don't have any technology at all, but they still know about this power armour, which they now refer to as the Sacred Armour of Antiriad. So they go on a quest to try to get this battle armour working again so that they can sort of fight off the alien invasion. So they've put some work into the plot here, I would say. You know, they've sort of fleshed out the world. So it's a non-linear game, obviously, because it's an action-adventure game. So you want to just sort of explore, and first you want to try to find the Sacred Armour, and afterwards you have to sort of improve it. So I don't know if you can, if you recognise the lettering here, but
yeah, that's Iron Maiden, isn't it?
It looks like they just basically stole the lettering from Iron Maiden.
Basically. Right, okay.
The one thing you've got to worry about is don't press the fire button whilst running forwards, because you jump if you do that.
Right, okay.
So always stop to throw a rock, essentially. You can get really close to him because he always just does this little movement here. Well, that's a bit too close.
How much life do I have?
The first thing you pick up in this game is sort of like a status monitor. So you pick up this little machine from the Sacred Armour that tells you, you know, how much health you have and such, and the things that you've picked up.
Oh, there's the armour. Is that the armour?
Could be.
Oh, don't do that.
You've got to, when you go to the armour, you've got to face forward, so you've got to face us. You can push up on the controller to jump straight up.
I just want to get onto that platform there, but I know
Yeah.
I can't because son of a bitch. Huh. What?
You've got to face forwards, like I said.
Ah,
So obviously you've got your status now.
yeah.
Now every time you see the top energy bar here,
Yeah.
that one's your health, and the other one is like the suit's health. Actually, the bottom one is your health, and the top one's the suit's health. But while you're in the suit, your health regenerates, and you can always go back to this suit to get your health back.
But I can't move the suit.
No, because you haven't got the boots, and you haven't got the energy.
Okay.
So what you want to do is you want to head left,
Okay.
and slightly up. So if you can go up there, you can do it sort of in the right sort of area. You got to jump this dude. That's it. You got to jump that as well. Nice one. There you go.
Oh, the boot. There's boots. Oh, shit.
Make sure you don't fall down. Right.
Right, so I've got the boots
So
now.
it fills up that little spot there
I
as well.
see it, yeah.
Oh, and you see this section here, the circular bit, that tells you how much radiation there is in the area.
Okay.
So there's not a lot where you are at the moment.
I'm running it. Running it.
You got to push up. That's it.
Am I flying now? I'm flying.
Yeah, you can fly.
Can I-
Up. You can't.
Can I shoot?
No, because you don't have guns. You got to find the guns
Okay.
to improve the suit.
This is
There's
hard
some health
control.
up- Yeah, it is. It bounces off the walls as well. So that's health there. That is.
Oh God.
There.
The guns.
Yeah.
But he's shooting.
Yeah, you're gonna have to take a hit. Possibly. Oh, that's it. You got the guns. Ignore him. Just you end up taking too many hits.
Pew! That's all right.
Yeah,
Now I've got a big flying suit. What you can do?
Yeah, so it's sort of interesting that this came out at around the same time as Metroid, really. Obviously, it's these ideas had sort of been being cooked up for like a while at this stage within other games. So obviously, in action-adventure games, generally you just solve puzzles to open up new areas, whereas in the Metroidvania games, you just got to fly past him. In Metroidvania games, you generally look for upgrades to your character to open up new areas. You are going the correct way, by the way.
Really?
Yeah. I think a lot of it does wrap around, so you've got to go up there.
Up and right, yeah.
Yeah, so there was a sort of proto Metroidvania game released a year earlier on the Commodore 64 called Thing on the Spring, and that was sort of an action adventure game, but you would improve your character in that game as well to open up new areas. You get sort of new abilities. This is where you're going to die, unfortunately.
What? Hold on, I can't go through that.
Yeah, those barriers stop the suit, so you've got to get out by landing and moving forwards. But this area has loads of radiation everywhere. You just got to get to the bottom of the screen, then face forwards again. It's really not easy. Yeah. Not sure if that hit me there.
Maybe it did. You just don't know until you get the suit.
That's sort of cool as well, actually. There is some nice little elements in this game, isn't there?
Yeah.
Right. It's just a shame that it feels quite like the controls aren't quite good enough, you know.
Here we go. Oh, you'll respawn there though, won't you? So,
Yeah.
fine. And just get out. Go on. Doesn't matter if you
This
die.
is when it's a problem, when you get stuck on the bleeding thing.
Well, that was alright.
Oh,
Go on, you're nearly there. Oh.
losing 2 lives is sort of normal here, unfortunately. This bit here is the one of the most dangerous parts in the game. If you start bouncing around here, you're screwed.
Yeah, because the flame will kill you.
So I feel a lot of the time it's best to just take damage from the flame and just make sure you're lined up. Because if you bounce around, you end up taking piles of hits. I think I've lost.
Nope, you're fine.
No, I've probably lost. I've lost too much health. The radiation's too high now. I can't get out of the suit. If I die, then I'm dead.
Hold on, wait, see where this guy goes. No, he's just moving in a square.
Dead. It's over. High radiation safety interlock operative.
So you actually just can't get out of the
You
suit.
have to just quit.
That's a horrific way to die.
Yeah, I guess you just got to wait until
Because you can't even move. You might not even be able to move your head. Like the only thing is your eyes.
You're starved to death, I guess.
And you can't. Oh my god, that's horrific.
How many rejuvenations?
2.
Yeah, you're
That's not fair! I couldn't even move! Oh shit. Oh shit, monkey! Oh shit! I've got 1 life left, don't I?
Yeah.
I can't get up! I couldn't get up! Press fire to play. Cock. If that drop hadn't taken my 2nd life.
You threw away loads of lives there, to be honest.
But the drop! Right, then down, and 1 smooth movement. Down and then right. There you go! Particle negates.
That thing gives you like an extra section of armour, essentially, and it's required.
Careful of the drop. The drop is the most dangerous thing.
Yeah.
Can you just go straight across? There you go. Energy there.
Yep. I think this thing comes out after you.
Yep. Go.
They did me a bit of damage that time.
Very negligible though. Can you fly over that? Come back for it if you need it. Because you're at like.
What was up here? Oh no, this is the end of the game now.
Is it? Oh.
done, I think.
You're going to sacrifice yourself.
Yeah, I do. I'm not sure. I think you do actually kill yourself. Whew.
And well done.
So yeah, I mean, it's sort of got an ending. I mean, really, it just sort of blew up, didn't it?
So what do you think of the game then, Rich?
Well, let's be honest here. This doesn't really compare amazingly well to something like Metroid on the it was on the Famicom disk system at this time. But you've got to make some allowances because this is quite an early Metroidvania game, so it's sort of, you know, coming up with some new ideas a bit. And one of the main things you also have to take into account is that Metroid was only available on the Famicom disk system this year. So it was only available in Japan, and you actually had to buy an add-on, sort of like, I mean, something that we would think of would be like the Mega CD effectively. This was like a premium product essentially in Japan. So I will always make allowances for that. Right, so like we said, so we got some new elements here. You got a suit that you can sort of get into and exit, which is kind of cool. And you got 2 health bars and all this. You sort of got to retrieve energy to like repower the suit up. And the gameplay mechanics themselves of Metroidvania are kind of interesting for the time. You always want to sort of become stronger and better as the game goes on, and it opens up new areas. Sort of a fantastic combination. I think the game looks pretty reasonable. You know, it's sort of a mixture of high resolution, low colour, and low resolution, high colour, because the C64 could do 2 different sort of modes, 2 major ones anyway, where it would so if you wanted high detail, you'd have quite basic colour use. It'd just be like 2 colours essentially. And you see that in the graphics. I don't know if you noticed, but some of the enemies would be lower resolution, but they'd have more colours. And other enemies, like the monkey, would be like high resolution, but they were just sort of like a single colour. So I think the graphics are pretty good. I feel like it's quite ahead of its time, you know, in a lot of ways, this game. Yeah. But at the same time, it's a bit kludgy with the controls sometimes. You know.
Yeah, I think that's a problem.
Obviously, I mean, it looks like a pretty short game when you see us completing it. You know, very, very short. But the main aspect of this game is exploration. So obviously, you wouldn't actually know where all these items were originally. So you'd have to search the whole levels and sort of learn the environments. That would be where most of the gameplay was happening. And it's not massively easy because of the bouncing off of walls. I would say it's sort of tricky. Difficult. But
also when they spawn inside you when you coming into, you have to know to move straight away.
It is sort of frustrating.
Also, if you die underneath a drip and then the drip doesn't actually let you move before dying under the second drip, I mean, why a drip would kill you outright?
Well, I don't know, it was some weird monster demon drip though, wasn't it? It had like a little face on it. I mean, what did you think of the game anyway? Obviously there are flaws with it, but like I said, I feel like that's normal for the time.
And there was no really background music back in them days, really, for the Commodore 64, so you can't really say, oh, it had no background music. It could have been longer because you could have been exploring more. One thing that annoyed the hell out of me, though, was the controls. Because it was so janky. I want to jump here, but no, it's not letting me. And I'm going to go into a new room and spawn something right inside me, so I'd have to be moving immediately, which you wouldn't know straight off back from playing. If you just jump up out the screen, then come land back down, everything's respawned again, so you're like, oh, God.
I think with the controls, because when you turn from left and right, it actually sort of rotates the character around. Because of that, when you're trying to turn around,
it takes longer to do.
Yeah, it takes. I mean,
you saw that when I was trying to. I nearly died to another blob because I was rotating at the time.
So a game like Metroid, it can be big because you can save it. This game you can't save it, so you don't want a massive environment because you have to go back to the start every time. So it has to be a fairly small area. You don't want to get lost running around. Imagine this game was huge. You'd be wandering around nothingness for ages trying to find things. So I feel like really the length, it has to be like that just for being in the C64 and fitting in there.
I reckon I'm going to give this a 3. Its controls are janky as hell.
Yeah.
But it's still relatively fun. What about you?
I'd say this is a very, very above average game for the time. Very few of this type of game around. It's definitely one of the absolute first Metroidvania games. It's quite ahead of the times in a lot of ways, you know. It has some flaws, but they're flaws that you see in most games for this time period. I'm going to give this a 4 out of 5 because it does have a few flaws, and obviously it's much worse than Metroid, but Metroid's not something you could really get hold of at the time.
Okay, guys, that was the Sacred Armour of Antiriad. relatively good game.
Yeah, I think it's impressive in some respects, but also a bit flawed in others.
Yeah,
But
the controls
sort
are
of
janky
ahead
as
of
hell.
it, sort of ahead of its time in some aspects, you know.
Yeah.
Sort of at the forefront.
Yeah, definitely. So if you liked it, please give us a like. Please give us a subscribe. Leave us a comment. Say what you thought about the game. And we'll catch you later with another game. So take care, guys.
See ya.